There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
Hey, Magellan, how about a progress report?
Coming up, Skipper. We'll be about 4 minutes behind flight plan at 30 degrees west.
That all? I can pick up 4 minutes easy, Hatch, with or without the jet stream.
That's what I like to hear, Captain. Early ETA.
Leave it to Captain Farver, Craig, when you've flown as long as he has.
Captain?
Yes, Wyatt?
Gander wants to know if you intend an altitude change after we pass 30 west.
How are the numbers?
Got him right here. Look okay, Purcell?
Check. Here you go, Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. All right, then. Gentlemen, you'll be pleased to know that thanks to the quality of this aircraft, the fine weather, and my brilliant flying, we'll hit JFK ahead of schedule, as long as our speed holds up. Send it in, Wyatt.
Yes, sir. Shannon, copy Gander. Transocean Flight 33, position 50 north, 30 west, time 14:03, flight level 35,000. Estimating 52 north, 40 west, and 2431. Estimating 52 north, 40 west, and 2431. Estimating JFK 1830, endurance 79560. Report received, Skipper.
Hey, Janie.
Boys?
How we doing back there?
Oh, the passengers are very content. But on behalf of the flight attendants, we have one respectful request. That you get us to the Big Apple as soon as possible. One's going to the opera.
Opera?
And 3 in first class have heavy dates. And a 4th, well, she just might be free for dinner with a polite and single crew member, assuming there's anyone like that on board.
Hold it a minute.
What is it, Captain?
Did you feel anything?
Feel? What do you mean, Skipper?
I don't know. Thought I felt something. Something funny. Like a sensation of speed. I can't put my finger on it. Guess it's my bones. I must be getting old.
True airspeed 440, Skipper. We're level. Do you suppose we picked up a tailwind?
Maybe. Those jet streams are tricky, but it's the crazy feeling I can't shake. You can't feel a tailwind. But I feel something.
Checking the instruments. Everything looks fine.
Magellan, give us a speed check with your Loran.
Right. I'd better do it again.
What's going on?
Skipper, Loran indicates a ground speed of 830 knots. I've never heard of a tailwind like that.
Check it again. Wyatt, see if you can raise OSV Charlie air defense radar. Ask them to give us a fix and check our ground speed. Magellan, you sure about the Loran?
Skipper, I'm not only sure, but we're still accelerating. 980 now? 1120? 1500? God in heaven, I can't keep up with it.
Wyatt, anything from air defense?
No, sir.
2100.
I hope the wings stay on.
They will. Don't worry about the wings. Just watch that true airspeed. Ground speed means nothing. We must be in one lulu of a jet stream. Magellan, my needle just reversed on Gander Omni. How could we get past Gander? Give me a fast position check.
Skipper, we are past Gander. We must be doing 3,000 knots.
Try to raise Harmon control. If you can't, try Moncton or Boston. At this speed, you might as well try Kennedy.
Transocean 33, Harmon Control, come in, please. Harmon, please acknowledge. Transocean 33, Moncton. Transocean 33, Boston Control, come in, please. Transocean 33 to Kennedy Control. Can you hear us, please? No soap, I can't raise anyone.
You're riding on a jet airliner en route from London to New York. You're at 35,000 feet atop an overcast and roughly 55 minutes from John F. Kennedy Airport. But what you're witnessing inside the cockpit of this plane is no reflection on the aircraft or crew. It's a safe, well-engineered, perfectly designed machine. And the personnel you've just met are a trained, cool, highly efficient team. The problem is simply that the plane is going too fast, and there is nothing within the realm of knowledge or logic to explain it. Unbeknownst to passengers and crew, Flight 33's Odyssey will carry it to an uncharted region, well off the beaten track of commercial travelers. For you see, It's moving at record speed now and heading straight into the Twilight Zone.
And now, the Twilight Zone and our story, The Odyssey of Flight 33, starring Daniel J. Travante, with Stacy Keach as your narrator.
What is going on up there?
We're a little behind schedule. The captain's trying to pick up a few minutes flight time.
Well, he's going to pick up more than that. If he doesn't ease off, we're going to set a new transatlantic record.
Help me, will you, Paula?
Well, sure, but...
Get the beverage cart ready.
Again?
Yes, again.
Well, it's going to roll all over the place.
If it does, you'll just have to lock the wheels.
Well, maybe we should wait.
For what?
Well, till the captain turns off the seatbelt sign.
He hasn't turned it on yet.
Well, why not?
He's got other things on his mind.
Like?
Do as I say. Please.
Oh, okay, Jane. Just the beverage service?
And peanuts.
Got it. I guess you must have told them.
What?
Delivered my message to the Flyboys. I've got 8 o'clock tickets for the Met tonight, the ride of the Valkyrie.
I told them.
Oh, thanks. I've always had a thing about Valhalla. Looks like I'm going to make the curtain after all.
Come with me for a minute.
Where?
Back here, where it's private. We have to talk.
About?
In the galley.
Listen to those engines. Oh, maybe you shouldn't have said anything. The guys are really showing off. They are showing off, aren't they?
Let me put it to you this way. I just hope the Valhalla you're talking about is strictly at the Metropolitan Opera on 7th Avenue and 57th Street in Little Old New York, and not the real thing.
Are we in trouble?
Paula.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, we
Listen
are.
to me.
How bad?
They don't know yet. That's the truth. Is the cart full?
Oh, yes, but...
Go ahead and begin serving.
Just like that?
Coffee, tea, or milk with a smile.
Oh, I should have gone to acting school.
You can do it. I'll be right there with you. You know, you talk about ailments.
I don't believe I was, actually.
I had an aunt once in Boise, Idaho, who had one of the worst livers in the history of the state. When that woman passed on, rest her soul, would you believe it?
What, pray tell?
There were 5 medical associations bidding just to put her liver on display in a bottle, but her mother, that's my father's sister, she absolutely refused to let them show it. And it's like I always said to my late husband, what did you say you were in the Air Force?
RAF, madam. A captain. I'm now a military attaché at our British embassy in Los Angeles.
A nephew of mine was in the Navy. He was on a cruiser or a PT boat or something, or was it a battleship?
I say, did you feel anything?
Well, I was a little queasy when we took off, but my late husband used to say that I had a stomach like a...
That's odd.
A lot of people have queasy stomachs. I have what they call...
Quite odd, really. I had a distinct sensation of rapid acceleration, I should say.
Well, here we are. This tray is for you, ma'am, and this one is...
Got a case of the nerves, miss?
Oh, I'm meeting someone in New York. My boyfriend. I don't want to be late, so I'm kind of, nervous.
One lucky fella, that's all I can say. You got another one of those cute little trays for me?
I just ran out.
Well, I see one more underneath.
Well, I have to go back to the galley. Excuse me.
Repeat, Transocean 33. Anybody?
What about it, Wyatt?
Not a thing, sir. Either they're off whack, everybody out there, or we are.
Check your equipment again.
I've checked it 4 times.
Knock it off. We'll just have to bullet through and see if anything...
Did we hit something?
Check for damage.
What was that flash? Did we get hit by lightning?
Numbers 3 and 4 are still on the wing. They look okay.
I can see 1 and 2. Everything seems to be in one piece. Purcell.
Yes, sir.
Go aft and check for any cabin damage. Report back as fast as you can. I'll get on the horn and calm everybody down.
That light, that crazy light.
And all the shaking. Turbulence?
I doubt it. It's more like a shock wave. As if we'd gone past the speed of sound.
You mean we hit Mach 1? We broke the sound barrier? We didn't get any Mach 1 warning.
We probably wouldn't. Not with a true airspeed of only 440. Magellan's last speed fix showed 3,000 knots. We could have broken some kind of barrier, but not any I've ever heard of. Magellan, can you give me a Loran fix now?
Whatever that bump was, Skipper, it knocked out everything. Loran's inoperative.
Altimeter and rate of climb steady.
Skipper, I still can't raise Gander or Moncton or Boston. Either they're off the air or we are. Or both.
Hatch, give me a sun fix. I'll need a heading from JFK for my last known position. If we can't raise anybody, we'll have to go down and establish visual contact.
Skipper, we can't do that. We leave this altitude and we'll land smack in the middle of 20 other flights.
Sooner or later, we're going to have to find a landmark or go VFR. With no radio contact, we're like a deaf and dumb man. But as long as we stay up here, we're even worse off. We're also blind.
No damage aft, Skipper. Everybody's, well, scared.
Ours not to reason why. Into the Valley of Public Relations. Hand me the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Farver speaking. I want to assure you that everything is under control and that there is no danger.
What a relief.
The captain knows what he's doing.
You think we're going to be late? I have a connecting flight.
Oh, thank God.
We encountered a little clear air turbulence back there, along with some kind of atmospheric phenomenon.
Miss, I need another glass of juice. I spilled mine.
Yes, of course.
I just got this dress for the trip, and now...
Dear lady, will you kindly listen to the captain?
There's been no damage to the aircraft except for some temporary malfunction of our radio. We'll have that fixed in no time.
Is it true?
Paula, would you get the lady a new glass of juice, please?
I repeat, there is no cause for alarm. We'll keep you posted. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight.
Answer me, will you? Is what he said true or not?
That should hold them.
For now, maybe, but don't bet on it.
If we run according to schedule, we should be landing at Kennedy inside of the next 40 minutes. Until then, please keep your seatbelts fastened as a precaution. Remember, our flight attendants are at your service. Purcell, what's our fuel?
29,435 pounds.
With the Loran out, I don't know what our ground speed is. But I've got a hunch we left that tailwind. I don't have the feeling of acceleration anymore. Magellan, how about that heading to JFK?
Well, part of this is scientific, Skipper, and part of it's Kentucky windage. Try 262. That's as close as I can make it.
262 it is. All right, gentlemen, you know what we're up against. We're apparently out of touch with all ground radar points. We don't even know if we're on an airway. And this 707 is a beast that gulps fuel. All of which means we've got one chance. To go down through this overcast and look for something familiar.
You're talking about flying blind.
It's very possible, not to say probable, that we may hit something on the way down, but we've got to take that chance or wait up here till we run out of fuel. I just wanted you to know where we stand. Now everyone keep a sharp lookout for other traffic. And I don't think a few prayers would be out of order. All right, Craig, we're taking her down.
Now we're really in that fog bank. Can't see a blessed thing. Wait, there.
What is...
Skipper.
I see it.
And?
I don't get it.
It happens to be a fact, though. That's Manhattan Island down there.
How could it be? Looks more like the middle of the Amazon jungle to me. Where's the skyline? Where are all the buildings?
I don't know where they are, but we're over New York City. There's only one small item that's a little amiss here.
The passengers are confused. We're over land, but they don't see any...
Any what, Janie?
Well, any buildings or bridges or highways or...
Nothing but trees, some stretches of grassland and more trees. It's the right shape, but it can't be New York.
Oh, that's Manhattan down there. See? There's the East River and the Hudson River.
Sure looks like it.
There's Montauk Point and every other topographical clue we need. The real estate's there. It's just that the city and 8 million people seem to be missing. There isn't any New York City. It's disappeared.
Come on, boys. You're joking, right?
Skipper, verify something for me, would you? And in a hurry. Look.
It's just not possible.
The bringer of thunder.
What?
Down there. Right below us. In the middle of all that foliage. You see it moving?
All I see is a jungle.
That thing there. The one that just pulled up a tree like a toothpick and ate the top off of it. I've seen them in picture books. That's a brontosaurus. Been extinct for, say, 150 million years. That, my friends, is the largest dinosaur that ever walked the earth.
Here's that sandwich and some extra cookies for the boy.
Oh, why, thank you. Oh, what is your name?
It's Jane.
Well, Jane, when we land all safe and secure, I'm going to write a letter to Transocean Airlines and tell them how nice you were to everyone on board.
That's very kind of you, but it's not necessary. I'm only doing my job.
Oh, more than that. Much more. You remind me so much of my daughter-in-law. She's a nurse and...
Miss?
Yes?
You got a drink on that cart?
Of course, sir. Would you care for coffee, tea, a soda?
No, ma'am. I mean a drink. Drink.
Anything you like.
Scotch, rocks?
Certainly.
Yeah, make it a double.
All right.
How much owe you?
Nothing, sir.
You sure? I mean, this ain't first class.
It's on the house. Everything's on the house today. Here, I'm giving you 2 drinks. 2 doubles.
How come?
Because you've been such a perfect passenger. We'll be landing soon.
Not that soon. I don't see the city yet.
You should buckle up anyway.
Yeah, sure. Hey, you know what? You're all right. You know that?
We're all right. Isn't that great?
So what's the score? I mean, we've been circling for 5 minutes now.
They said they'd let us know not to come in.
Well, that sounds promising, doesn't it?
At least we're back to normal speed. That's something.
Something?
Captain Farver's a pro. So's the rest of the crew.
Yes, they are. Definitely. So there's no reason to panic. No reason at all. We just go on like a normal, ordinary flight. Okay, got it. So, shall I go help out in first class for a while?
In a minute. I need you to do something else first.
What?
Pick out a couple of those little vodka bottles.
Sure. What passenger?
I want you to hand them to me.
What are you doing?
Rocks are with a mixer.
Are you serious? We're on duty.
Then I'll drink them myself.
Wait. What is really going on?
I promise you, if I knew, I'd tell you.
But you know something, don't you?
When I was in the cockpit, I thought I saw... Oh, Paula, did you happen to look out a window a few minutes ago, right after we leveled off?
Why? What did I miss?
They were all looking down, and I looked with them. I wish I hadn't, but I did.
Oh, is it one of the engines?
It's not the aircraft.
Oh, then what?
That's the trouble, Paula. I don't know. I give you my word, I really, truly don't know.
Excuse me, ladies.
I'm sorry, sir, but this area's off limits.
I know, but you'll see...
If you were looking for the restroom, it is at the other end of the aisle.
No, you see, it's just that... Are you quite sure your pilot knows what he's doing?
Absolutely. Captain Farver's the best there is.
In that case, why has he announced an arrival at Kennedy when we're nowhere near that location? I'm not blind, you know. I've made this flight many times, a great many times, and I can assure you that wherever we are, this is not New York airspace.
There was a last-minute change in the flight plan. The captain's taking an alternate approach.
For what reason, may I ask?
Something about the jet stream.
Rubbish. I flew for the RAF. The jet stream occurs at different altitudes, not at widely varying longitudes. Whatever it is you're attempting to cover up...
Would you mind taking your seat, sir?
I'll tell you young ladies something else. I have a camera in my flight bag, and I've documented this alternative flight plan on 2 rolls of 35mm film. Whatever ideas that cowboy captain of yours may have about unscheduled shortcuts, I'm sure the Federal Aviation Agency will be most interested.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll pass it along. I wonder what else he got pictures of.
What?
Nothing, Paula. Cheers.
What do you think now, Skipper?
Well, we've flown over what should be Schenectady, Albany, and points north.
That's what you and Craig keep saying, but personally, I don't get it.
Take a look. There's the topography.
You can make out the coastline, the mountain ranges.
But it's not any New York State I've ever seen, and neither have you. Admit it, Captain. It looks like some kind of forest land, and it just goes on. And there's still no sign of life.
Except for that thing with the long neck and the teeth. From here, I made it to be about 5 stories tall.
It was a brontosaurus, no doubt about it.
Listen to you. Listen to us all like it was something people see every day.
Nobody's seen anything like that for 100 million years.
Longer than that.
So here we are, talking away like rational human beings.
Craig.
Yes, Captain?
Ever hear of Occam's razor?
That rings a bell. Don't tell me.
Is it what we're going to hit next?
Wait a minute. I think I remember. From science class. He was a mathematician.
Right. He came up with a principle, a way of thinking.
Which is?
In a nutshell, it was this. When you look for a scientific explanation, say for something that doesn't seem to have an explanation right off, you should go for the simplest answer that accounts for everything.
All right. I got it. This is all a dream. I'm dreaming. I'm in a hotel room in New York with a big soft bed. I'm going to wake up any second now.
Or you can't wake up, because, see, you're already dead. You died in your sleep. We all did. We just don't know it.
You're not listening. I said the simplest answer that accounts for all the facts. That means everything that's happened.
There is no way to account for it.
All right. What if I said we were swallowed by a whale like Jonah? Would you buy that?
No, because whales live in the ocean, not the air. Unless we already crashed in the Atlantic and didn't notice.
Pretty big thing not to notice.
Exactly. Or could we say we've been swallowed by a flying saucer, and this isn't even the Earth anymore?
Flying saucers don't have throttles and altimeters and 400 people in the cabin.
And flight attendants like Janie.
How do you know? Been on one before?
Now you're catching on. Those aren't the simplest answers. You don't buy those theories any more than I do, because they're too much of a stretch, an unnecessary one. It's always possible that they could turn out to be true, but why make such a big jump? You see what I mean?
Captain, I'm not real big on science fiction. Why are you telling us this?
Because I thought about it, and I came up with a theory myself. A surmise based on everything we know.
That I'd like to hear, because I'm flat out of answers myself.
I'll give you my surmise then, gentlemen. You may want to truss me up with ropes when you hear this.
I doubt that, Captain. You got more flight hours than all the rest of us put together.
Keep an open mind. It's the only single rational explanation I can come up with to account for everything that's happened so far.
Even the special effect monster back there?
Even that.
All right, let's hear it.
Here goes. The bumps, the acceleration, what we saw with our own eyes. All of us, remember. Everything we absolutely know to be true.
There isn't any way to explain all that.
Isn't there? Take a look at what we've got to work with.
Go ahead.
Somehow, in some way, we not only broke the speed of sound, we must have broken some other kind of barrier as well.
What other kind is there?
We've gone back. Back in time.
And you're telling me that's rational?
Think about it, all of you, and then tell me if you can come up with an alternative. If you can, I'd like to hear it.
Okay. Just for the sake of argument, say you're right. Where does that leave us, Skipper? And what are we supposed to do about it?
Skipper, fuel is down to 19,000 pounds.
That's about what I estimated. Not much. You know, I've stared at these instruments till I know every number by heart, but it doesn't do me any good. Because without a theory to act on, nothing changes. All this is still impossible. And the clock is ticking. And we're stuck up here, waiting for radio contact or visual confirmation till hell freezes over or we run out of fuel. And guess which one happens first? At which point we set this baby down in Adventureland, without enough clear ground to stop. And we break in half.
So, let me get this straight. What you're saying is...
What I'm saying is, when you don't have anything else to fall back on, pick the best damn theory you have and act on it. Because that's the only chance you have, even if it's a slim one.
Not exactly good science. Too many unknowns.
But when the choice is between slim and none...
So what do we do about it?
We rev this baby up till she's going as fast as she can. We climb until we hit that jet stream, and then we try to follow the same flight plan, and I mean exactly, and go back to where we came from.
Is that all?
Our instruments are functional. The only thing that's wrong with the radio on the Loran is that nobody's down there to hear us or send up a signal.
It's a long shot.
It's the only shot. You got a better one?
No, sir.
Then let's do it.
700 knots, 780 knots, 800, 900 knots. Skipper, I don't know if we're going to make it.
Throttle forward.
What are you doing in here?
Hang on, Janie.
Whatever you're doing, stop before you kill us all. What was it?
And the flash of light, Captain.
Just like before.
Look, I know you've got your hands full, but somebody get on the pipe. I have at least 3 passengers close to hysteria.
Skipper, we made it. We're back. Look!
What?
There she is.
Where? I can't...
Over here. You know, I never thought the Empire State Building was that great, if you want to know the truth.
Is that it? Yes, it is.
But right now, it looks downright beautiful. Don't you think so, Captain?
Where's the mic?
Right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Farver. We had some momentary difficulty back there. But as you can see, we're now over New York. We should be landing in just a few minutes. Thank you all for bearing with us.
Bravo!
He did it.
I haven't prayed since down on my knees and
Hey, look, the Statue of Liberty. It's right down there.
Kiss the ground.
Oh, May, I must have dozed off. Did I miss anything?
In a word, madam, dear lady, yes.
Well, sometimes I just have to rest my eyes for a second or two. You know how it is.
Quite.
These seats are awfully uncomfortable, though, right in the small of my back. My doctor said I should never sit in one position for this long. He told me, next time I won't fly, I'll take the train. Miss, you never brought me an extra pillow like I asked. Didn't you hear me? I distinctly remember saying...
Here, ma'am. Take all the pillows you want.
How about Kennedy?
Nothing doing. Our VHF is still out.
Maybe Kennedy's is too. Try high frequency.
I did already, Skipper. Nothing from JFK.
How about LaGuardia? Keep using high frequency. Somebody should hear us.
LaGuardia, this is Transocean 33. LaGuardia, Transocean 33.
This is LaGuardia.
Oh, thank God. The boys had me going there for a while.
Oh, I want to take a hot bath, then sleep for 12 straight hours.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
Oh, no. Are you on turnaround?
Oh, no, it's not that.
I thought you had your layover back at Heathrow.
I did. You know, it's these time zones. I set my clock for London time, but I wake up on Eastern Standard. You ever try to order breakfast in the middle of the night?
You get used to it.
I know. Catch your Z's whenever you can. But a couple hours in the lounge just doesn't cut it. Not for me.
There's always the taxi ride to the airport. That's good for a little shut-eye.
Oh, 30 minutes in the backseat of a taxi in traffic? I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
Sounds like they stuck you with a rookie schedule, Paula. I'll talk to Lynn at the hub office. She'll do something about it.
That would be great. This kind of thing, I didn't know if I could handle it.
You did fine.
They didn't cover this in training.
Not exactly.
Has it happened before?
Believe me, no. And it won't happen again.
Should I collect the trays now?
I don't know what the captain will say about this, but I'm going to break out the champagne splits for everybody.
Wyatt, try for radio contact.
Yes, sir. This is Transocean 33, LaGuardia. We're on the northeast leg of the LaGuardia Range, and both our ILS and VOR appear inoperative. Request radar vector to JFK ILS. Nothing, sir.
Keep trying.
Transocean 33, LaGuardia.
What are you, a wise guy? You like what?
I got a live one.
Yes!
All right!
A radar vector to Kennedy ILS. Can you do that little thing for me, LaGuardia? If it's not too much trouble, because you'll never, ever know how good your voice sounds to me right about now.
What flight did you say this was?
Transocean 33. What's the matter? Come on, LaGuardia, quit fooling around. We're low on fuel.
Transocean Airlines? What kind of aircraft is this?
This is Transocean 33, a Boeing 707. You heard of that?
Did you say a Boeing 247?
Let me handle it.
Be my guest. This guy's a hard case.
LaGuardia, this is a Boeing 707. Don't give us any of this 247 jazz. You're a few decades behind the times. This is a 707, LaGuardia. A jet. 4 big, lovely Pratt Whitney turbines. Only they're getting hungry. We're low on fuel, and all we want is a radar vector to Kennedy. Now, do you have us in radar contact, or don't you?
I don't know who you guys are, but we don't know anything at all about radar or jets or anything else like that. But if you're really low on fuel, we'll clear you to land here.
Well, aren't you the generous one? Hey, don't go to any trouble on our account.
Captain, the approach chart says their longest runway is less than 5,000 feet. Should we take a chance?
Transocean 33, you're cleared to land on runway 22. Altimeter 2988, wind southward 10 miles per hour. The captain is to report to the CAA office immediately after landing.
Roger. We'll stay in touch.
CAA? Why, they haven't called the Federal Aviation Agency the CAA in more years than I've been flying.
What do you want to do?
All right, Craig, we're bringing her down.
If you say so.
It'll be like landing in a phone booth, but...
Captain, circle again, will you?
Why, something wrong?
Take a look.
What is it, Hatch?
What are you?
Still New York, all right.
Will you take a good look?
What are those 2 structures?
Where?
Those buildings right under us.
Skipper, do you know what they are? Do you?
I know exactly what they are. The Trilon and Perisphere.
The who?
I saw an old newsreel about it. They built it all and tore it down a long time ago, before I was born. But there's no doubt. That's the New York World's Fair.
The 65 World's Fair? They must have left some of it standing. Funny, I never noticed it before.
Not the 1965 fair, the one before that.
But that was in 1939. I know they tore that one down.
They did.
So that means we're in
1939. We came back. We did it. We came back, but dear God, we didn't come back far enough.
We can't land. We can't land at LaGuardia, not in 1939. We've got to try again.
What about the passengers?
I think we'd better let them in on it. What choice do we have? We owe them the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. What I'm about to tell you is something I can't explain very well. Your crew is as perplexed about it as you are. But if you look out on the left-hand side of this aircraft, you'll see directly below you an area that was once called Lake Success, and those buildings down there aren't the United Nations. They happen to be...
What is he talking about?
Shh! Listen!
They happen to be the New York World's Fair.
That man's gone crazy. He shouldn't be flying an airplane.
Madam, would you kindly not?
What I'm trying to tell you is that somehow, some way, in some manner, this aircraft has gone back in time, and it's 1939. We're going to try to increase our speed and go through the sound barrier, or time barrier, whatever it is, the same as we've already done twice before. I don't know if I can do it. I don't even know that we have enough fuel, but I ask you to remain calm and pray.
A trans-ocean jet airliner en route from London to New York on a recent uneventful June afternoon, but now reported overdue and missing, and searched for on land and sea and in the air by anguished human beings, fearful of what they'll find. But you and I know where she is. You and I know what's happened. So if at some moment, any moment, you hear the sound of jet engines flying atop the overcast, engines that sound searching and lost, engines that sound desperate, shoot up a flare or do something, anything that might help the men and women aboard Transocean 33, all of them still trying to get home from the Twilight Zone.
We'll return to the Twilight Zone in a moment.
Hi, this is Carl Amari, producer of the Twilight Zone Radio Dramas. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our official website at twilightzoneradio.com, where you'll get the latest news and information on these Twilight Zone Radio dramas. Plus, at twilightzoneradio.com, you can digitally download 3 free episodes or any of our episodes for only $1.95 each. In this age of ever-changing technology, we've decided to make these episodes instantly available to you by making the Twilight Zone Radio dramas a digital download-only series. This means that this series will no longer be offered on CD. The CD collections at our website are now being offered while supplies last at buy one, get one free. So be sure to get your favorites before they're sold out. Be sure to visit us often, and I'll see you in the zone.
Odyssey of Flight 33, starring Daniel J. Travanti, with Stacy Keach as your narrator, was written for The Twilight Zone by Rod Serling and adapted for radio by Dennis Etchison. Heard in the cast were Taylor Miller, Peter DeFaria, Richard Hensel, Turk Muller, Doug James, Peggy Roeder, Carl Amari, Roger Wolski, Vince Amari, and Roderick Peoples. To learn more about the Twilight Zone radio dramas and to obtain audio cassettes and CDs of these programs, visit our website at twilightzoneradio.com. The producers of The Twilight Zone wish to thank CBS Enterprises, Carol Serling, Dennis Etchison, Dick Brescia Associates, Claire Simon Casting, Paul Patch, Terry Jennings, the American Forces Radio and Television Service, our sponsors, and our radio affiliates for helping make this series possible. This copyrighted radio series is produced and directed by Carl Amari and Roger Wolski for Falcon Picture Group. Doug James speaking.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Jason,
Yes? Oh, hello, Evelyn.
can I talk to you?
In a minute. Do you know what that is?
What it is?
That's Glenn Miller, Evie.
Who?
You don't remember him, do you? No, of course not. You weren't born yet.
Jason.
Truth be told, I wasn't either. But I had a collection of old-time records. Quite a collection. One of the best in the country. Glenn Miller, Harry James, Tommy Dorsey. Of course, that was before. They all got broken to pieces, along with everything else. Except for this one.
Jason, they want to know.
Know what?
About the food. You have to tell them something.
Wait till Mr. Goldsmith comes back from the cave. Did you know there was a place called the Meadowbrook on the old Pompton Turnpike?
What's that?
The Glenn Miller Orchestra used to broadcast from there. I read it in a book. Frank Daly's Meadowbrook on the Pompton Turnpike. Oh, would I give to have heard that on the radio.
What's a radio?
Well, it was a way for people to communicate. They sent out speeches, music, anything they felt like, for others to hear. Any time of the day or night, around the clock.
Did they send food?
What?
Food, Jason. That's what we need. Look out the window. Everybody's in the street and they're hungry. They have to know about the food we found.
It's not food unless we can eat it. Till then, it's just cans. Tell them to wait for Mr. Goldsmith. Tell them he's gone to ask the old man.
I'm telling you, they're not going to wait any longer.
Looks like there's a crack in this one, too.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't make any difference. All that was 1,000,000 years ago. That's where this music came from. 1,000,000 years ago. Just a ghost, like me.
What about the canned goods? They're not ghosts.
Hey, Jason! Is he back yet?
Yeah, where is he?
Sure been gone a long time.
Maybe he's not coming.
Are we supposed to starve or what?
All right, I'm coming. Hold your horses, everybody.
What you've just witnessed is the better part of a legacy, left by man for himself. Some years previous, he pushed his buttons, and a nightmarish moment later woke to find that he had turned the clock back 1,000 years, or more. His machines, his medicine, his science were buried in a mass tomb, covered over by the biggest gravedigger of them all, a bomb. This, then, is the Earth not many years later, where the few remaining survivors get by, but just barely, in a once thriving suburb full of families who lived their lives with faith, hope, and charity, until that terrible morning. Now they scramble simply to stay alive, with nothing to guide them except someone they've never seen, an old man in a cave who dispatches wisdom in a most peculiar fashion. And a moment from now, the old man's authority will be put to the test, as faith goes the way of hope and charity in a future no one imagined they'd ever have to face. For this is a fragment of a whole, a remnant of what was once a proud race, now all that's left of humanity in the Twilight Zone.
And now The Twilight Zone and our story, The Old Man in the Cave, starring Adam Baldwin with Stacy Keach as your narrator.
Put that can down.
Look at this. It says peas and carrots.
And sliced beef from Argentina. You know the last time I had beef?
I said, leave it.
You been to the cave, Jason?
Did you see Goldsmith?
What's the matter with you people? Are you worried the old man's gone away? He's always been there. Well, hasn't he?
But did he talk to Goldsmith yet?
Goldsmith's waiting for the message. As soon as he gets it, he'll bring it down and share it with us.
Is he asking about this food?
I tell you, it's pre-bomb. Everything in the pile is pre-bomb.
We don't know that.
Look at it. It's safe as anything.
I'm surprised at you. I'm surprised at all of you. We have no way of knowing...
Why do we have to wait for the old man? Why don't we just take our chances with it?
We already took our chances.
What's that in your hand?
See this? The old man told us not to plant on the north acreage, and this is what came up.
I know what those are. Those are carrots, just like on the can.
Did these grow, Evie? Or did someone leave them to us in a will?
They were the best of the crop.
The best? Then I'd hate to see the worst.
But if we grew them ourselves, they must be okay.
No, Evie's right. I don't think we ought to eat these. Too much of a risk. Maybe we just better bury them with honors.
But that's what Goldsmith went to the cave for. That and the canned goods, to find out what land we could try next. If the old man says it's okay...
The old man, indeed. God knows where he gets his knowledge, but he knows about land. You remember the tomatoes that came up? After he sent a message telling us not to plant them...
They were deformed, too.
Monstrous is the word. Looked like rotten watermelons, and tasted like nothing fit for a human.
But these cans, they didn't grow. We found them buried by the road.
Let's wait till Mr. Goldsmith comes back. Wait till he has a chance to ask. You know, man doesn't live by bread and canned goods alone, or free carrots or mutated tomatoes. But do me a favor, will you? Just don't ask me what he does live by. In this 20th illustrious year after the bomb, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Attention! Attention!
There's Goldsmith.
We'll find out once and for all.
We have just had a communication from the old man in the cave.
And?
There is an 80% possibility of rain tomorrow. The wind is from the northeast. This means there will very likely be a high radioactivity count in the precipitation. All of you are asked to remain indoors and stay there until otherwise advised. All barrels should be placed upside down and all water troughs covered. See to it that no one touches any rainwater till it's been thoroughly examined.
What about the canned goods?
The old man says they're probably contaminated.
What?
If so, they should be destroyed.
How does he know that? He hasn't even seen them.
There's no telling where it came from or when it was canned. I think we'd best leave it alone for a while, at least till I ask the old man again.
Why can't he tell us now?
He has a lot on his mind, but he's never told us wrong before, has he?
Quiet.
What's the matter?
Listen.
I remember that sound.
So do I. It's a truck of some kind.
Where do they get their gasoline?
Then it must be Army.
Private, stay with me.
Yes, sir.
The rest of you wait by the Jeep.
You won't need those guns. We're not armed.
Who's in charge here?
I guess I am.
Good. You got a name?
Goldsmith.
What about this place? Does it have a name?
And if it does?
Well, if it has a name, Goldsmith, we'd like to hear it.
And you are?
Major French, Central States Command.
Never heard of it.
Well, you will from now on. We've been sent out to organize.
What?
Organize?
That's what I said.
On whose order?
You better clean out your ears, Pops. I told you, Central States Command. How many people here?
We haven't counted lately.
What about food?
What about it?
There's sufficient.
You grow your own?
Some. We have a supply of pre-war canned goods.
So I see. It's quite a stash.
Well, that's not part of it.
Haber, take a look around.
Right, sir.
Douglas, stay close to the car. Furman, you stay with me.
Yes, sir.
Major, what do you want?
Oh, painless things. Nothing, really. Quarters for the four of us.
Agreed.
Let's see. Rations for as long as we're here. And no trouble. The last one goes on the top of the list. No trouble.
I don't think you understand, Major.
No? You can speak freely?
We don't recognize your authority here. We've had other transients pass through the town on occasion.
Did you say transients?
They didn't stay. Like you, Major, they represented themselves as authorities, and we discovered they had no headquarters. They carried it with them. They represented no one but themselves.
Well, now, this is the new breed, Mr. Goldsmith. From now on, this whole area will be organized. It will be set up in military sectors, each controlled by local constabulary. In this case, that means yours truly.
You and your constabulary may stay here overnight, Major.
It's good of you.
We'll share our food and provide you with a place to bed down, but tomorrow morning you best do your organizing somewhere else.
Mr. Goldsmith, unofficially, the following. We'd like to make the transition here as easy as possible, for you as well as for us. Under certain circumstances, we might allow you to remain in nominal control, assuming you don't in fact give us trouble. Now, that's unofficial, Mr. Goldsmith. The following is official.
Stand back.
Now, Mr. Goldsmith, listen up and let me tell you the situation. Between Buffalo, New York, and Atlanta, Georgia, there are probably around 500 people alive. That's the latest intelligence. You know why? Because there's no authority. There's no discipline. We're here to give you a little of both. Now, if you give us lip, if you make any trouble at all, I'll hang you from that flagpole of yours, the tall one in the town square. Now, what about it, Mr. Goldsmith? Do you want to cooperate, or do you want your neck broken? That should be an easy enough decision for someone as bright as you.
We already have an authority. We've had him for better than 20 years.
He give you that pile of cans in the street?
No, someone found it.
What all have you got there?
Poisons, contaminated food.
Who says so?
The old man in the cave.
Oh, it's the old man in the cave, huh? Is that right? You idiots. You don't want organization. You'd rather starve to death. You'd rather listen to some nutso in a long flowing robe?
It's not like that.
Have any of you looked at yourselves in the mirror? Do you even have a mirror? You look like skeletons. You know that? That's what you look like. Skeletons. So where's this old man who keeps you on a starvation diet? When does he come out and play?
Well, he never comes out. He stays in the cave.
I'm not surprised, Mr. Goldsmith. You know that? I'm not at all surprised. Off Lake Erie, there's a pack of weirdos who bay at the moon once a week. Yeah, they do.
And what used to be Chicago? Oh, we got a swinging cult out there. They built themselves a statue made out of fissionable lead. This is their deity, mind you. And here, what do you have? An invisible old man in a cave. Of course, what else? Come on, Mr. Goldsmith. When you run it around the block a couple of times, doesn't it sound a little nutso, even to you?
When we first came here a few months after the bomb, there were just a handful of people. They had survived because of the old man. And we were permitted to settle here only if we did what the old man told us to do.
Oh, this one takes the prize, I swear. This one's the farthest out of anything I've heard yet.
We've survived, Major. While most of the world was dying of radioactivity, strontium-90, the plague, we survived.
Because of the old man.
That's right. Because of the old man.
He's telling the truth.
Well, now, let me see if I've got this straight. He cues you, huh? He tells you what's radioactive, what's not, what's poisonous, whether the sun's coming out tomorrow. I mean, the whole bit.
The whole bit, Major French. As long as he's alive, we'll be alive.
All right, then. Let's go meet him.
You can't do that.
No? Why not? Well, I want to meet him. He must be some kind of genius, this guy. I say we send a team up to the cave right now and check out what he has to say.
Please, Major, you don't understand.
Then help me to understand. And there's only one way to do that. I want to meet this guru of yours, in person. Do I make myself perfectly clear? I want to meet him right now. Haber, Furman, Douglas.
Sir.
Move it out right away.
Right away, sir.
Where do you think you're going, Major?
Off to see the wizard. I have the authority now, Mr. Goldsmith.
It's not that easy.
Oh? Where's the old man's cave?
In a safe place.
It is, huh?
The mountainside.
Well, then you lead the way. Fall in, mister.
He won't talk to you.
He will if I show him the business end of an M14.
Major, you're not listening. It doesn't work like that. I've told you the only reason we've survived this long in spite of the radiation is because of his advice. Without him, we all die.
Is that what you people believe? How about you, girlie?
Mr. Goldsmith's telling the truth.
The truth? And you? And you? The same goes for everybody here?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I believe?
Why don't you enlighten us, Major?
You're all suckers. Patsies. I don't think any of you will ever die of radioactivity. It's not in the cards. I think you're all going to kick off from malnutrition or maybe getting conned to death.
Well, if that's true, Major, it'll be a painless death.
Are you serious? Take a look around you. Take a good look. This town turned to dust a long time ago. Broken windows, roofs falling in, street lights tipped over. You're living like animals. Is this painless, Mr. Goldsmith?
Well, it's what we're used to.
It's what you're used to because you've got rings through your noses. An old man in a cave who doesn't come out into the daylight. Mr. Goldsmith, listen up. The booking odds are as follows. I'll give you 100 to 1. No, make it 500 to 1. That your old man is some soft-in-the-head hermit who smells like a garbage heap and doesn't even know what year it is. Get me?
That's not for us to say.
You got that right. It's for you to ask. Friends, Romans, and farm animals, lend me your ears. We're going up to that little cave now, and we're going to run a check on your favorite recluse. We'll haul him out into the light of day and get a good look at him. And then, I'll decide.
Decide what, Major?
If he's worth keeping alive. How much farther?
Don't worry, Major. We'll be there soon.
If you're trying to pull something, Goldsmith.
Just beyond the burned-out trees, there's a rise, and then the mountains. I'll show you.
Furman.
Yes, sir?
You and Douglas pull ahead. Haber, keep everybody on the path.
No problem, sir.
Goldsmith, do you realize what you're doing?
I believe I do.
But when we get there, what if they...
What, Jason?
What if they execute him? Then where will we be?
Well, they won't.
How do you know that?
They can't.
Have you seen the Major's eyes? That man doesn't care about anyone but himself. He's the kind who started this war. And if he has his way, the old man is finished.
We'll see about that.
Hold up, Major. I think we found it.
Good. Everybody, stand back.
Is this what you wanted to see, Major?
It looks like a solid steel panel, sir. Built flush into the base of the mountain.
All right, Mr. Goldsmith. Tell us about it.
Nothing much to tell.
How does it open?
I don't know. To my knowledge, it's never been opened.
Suppose I were to strip off your skin an inch at a time. Would that increase your knowledge?
Oh, you could do that, Major, all the way to the bone. I'd have to tell you the same thing. I don't know how the door opens, or if It opens.
The old man lives inside?
That's right.
And he never comes out?
That's my understanding.
I hate to press you, Mr. Goldsmith, but what does he eat? How does he live? How does he stay alive?
I couldn't say.
How do you know he's in there? How do you communicate with him?
He sends out notes and messages under the door. There's a small slot right here. Let's see. It's just wide enough for a strip of paper. I come every day at the same time, and he pushes another piece of paper out. It has the answers to my questions.
He sends out messages under the door. We have a winner, gentlemen. This one takes the blue ribbon. The Village Idiots, led by an idiot. You in there! I've got a question. Your people are starving to death. They found a pile of food, but they're afraid to eat it. They're afraid of their own shadows. So, what's the word? Give me one good reason why they can't live like human beings. You listening, old man? Answer me. I'm the law here now. Are you deaf? Or do you want it all for yourself? Is that it? Open up.
He won't respond to you that way.
Well, of course he won't, because he's not in there. This is your answer, everybody. A big, fat 0.
Major, please.
You!
Are you speaking to me?
You believe this stuff?
I suppose so.
You suppose so? You suppose there's an old guy in this cave who sends out orders whenever he gets the urge? Man, oh man. I wish I'd been around when there was a Brooklyn Bridge to sell, because I could have made a fortune off this bunch. Furman.
Sir.
Shoot it open.
No dice, Major. It must be an inch thick. Maybe 2.
Douglas, give me a grenade.
Here, sir.
What's he doing?
Better make tracks, friends. This one's going to do some damage.
It's still shut tight, Major.
Hey, old man!
It's getting dark. If we're gonna find our way back...
You in there, listen up. I'm not through with you yet. I haven't even started.
Goldsmith.
What is it, Jason?
You know how to open the door. I know you do.
I know how to open the door, but I took an oath that I never would. My predecessor took the same oath, and that door has remained closed. No one will get into that cave. No one will ever touch the old man.
Who is he? Where did it come from?
A question oft asked, and a question never answered.
Well, the Major is going to get an answer, one way or another. You can bet on that.
It makes no difference, Jason. He's kept us alive. That's all that matters. Now, come on, old friend. Let's go home.
Now, time, people. Dig in.
It looks alright. But the old man didn't say.
But I'm so hungry.
What should we do?
Come on. What's the matter with you? Everybody choose 5 cans. Take your pick. Tonight, we're going to celebrate the new order.
That food is contaminated, Major.
It is, huh? Who said so? The man who wasn't there?
There's every possibility that those cans contain enough strontium-90 to kill all the people in this village.
Yeah? Funny. I listened real close, and I didn't hear a single word from that guru of yours. Haber, give me a bayonet.
Sir.
What are you doing?
I'm opening a can of, what's it say? Tropical fruit salad. I remember fruit salad. Do you? The kind with the little red cherries. Let's see what else is in here. Pineapple, peaches, pears.
I warned you.
My stomach.
You see, this is what happens when you...
See what? Just a little performance for the yokels to keep them, on their toes. But you knew that, didn't you, Mr. Goldsmith? There's nothing wrong with this food. It's positively scrumptious. Well, say something. Tell me how disappointed you are. You're a nutcase, There's enough grub in that pile to keep you alive for years.
There's enough poison in that pile to kill us all in days or hours. Much of it was canned after the bomb. We have no idea where it came from or who processed it. Some of the cans are only cheap plastic. It's porous. We have no idea what seeped into them from the air.
Let's lay it on the line, shall we? Any of you who want a good meal for a change, dig in. For the rest of you who still want to play kindergarten, go home and gnaw on a bone.
I'll try one.
I guess it wouldn't hurt to sample it if we're careful.
Don't be fools. Don't commit suicide because a couple of pack rats invade our homes and decide to turn things upside down.
Let them be, Goldsmith. If they want to eat that stuff, let them eat it.
The old man warned us about this. He told us it might be contaminated. We've got to bury it.
Get out of my way.
I say it's all right. He tested it.
There's nothing you can do. If they're willing to risk it, that's up to them now.
I'm afraid you're right, Evelyn. I've said my piece. The only thing left to say is, may God help us.
Hey, looky! We just repealed Prohibition. All over again.
Goldsmith, over here.
Let him go.
But I wanted to have a drink with him.
Have one with me. I got plenty.
What's that one?
Single malt Scotch whiskey. Here, give it a try. Like Christmas. Just like Christmas, huh?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, too. You got a name?
Jason.
Jason. Where's your golden fleece? I'm a very literate man. I went to college. Did you know that, Jason? I went to college.
What did you learn?
Why, it's the famous Mr. Goldsmith, keeper of the legend, protector of the fables, Lord High Chamberlain of the Cave. You look hungry and thirsty. How about a drink? You got 100 cases of that hooch inside. You want to start breaking every bottle? You got yourself a man's job.
Do you have any idea? Do you have any remote idea what you've brought to this village?
Mr. Goldsmith, what I've brought to this village is the first square meal any of them have had in 20 years, and the first hours of pleasure they've had since you started leading them around by the nose. Why don't you give up the ghost, old man? Unbend. Why not? Can you answer me?
You came as intruders, but now you're murderers. There's no telling how many people will die because of what you've done tonight. The old man told us dozens of times about food like this. He warned us.
Now hear this. The old man? Well, there isn't any old man in the cave. He's a lie. He's a concoction. You made him up. You cut him out of whole cloth. Nobody's seen him. Nobody's heard him. Nobody knows who he is or where he's from.
He's there just the same, whether you believe in him or not.
Prove it.
We've survived for 20 years. That's all the proof we need.
Speak for yourself. By the looks of it, I'd say there aren't many believers left. You're on your own now. Open the cave, Goldsmith. Prove it that way.
Maybe I can explain something.
Go ahead.
There were 2 men here right after the bomb. Scientists. That's all we knew about them. When they died, they gave the secret to another man, and he gave it to Goldsmith. Now he's the only one who knows how to open the door.
I don't know what your game is, Goldsmith. I don't know how you get paid off. But it's time you let these people fill their bellies. It's time you open that cave and let them see who's kept them hungry all these years.
Listen to him.
You'll have to kill me, French.
Mister, I've killed 100 times you. And that's how I've stayed alive. You, Jason, get your people together. You know what we have to do.
Everybody follow us. Light some torches. We're going to the cave. We're going to open it. We're going to get the old man.
Jason, for the love of God.
You get it, Mr. Goldsmith? This is the Renaissance. This is the New Age. And you're going to usher it in. From now on, the people are going to eat and drink and walk in the rain. You're going to grow whatever you want, whenever you want. And your old man, whoever he is, he's going to abdicate the throne. Douglas, Furman.
Any trouble, sir?
Put Mr. Goldsmith in the back seat and see that he doesn't try to run. We're going to take a drive up to the cave. Drag him if you have to. Mr. Goldsmith here is going to open the cave. He knows how. He can show you the old man. One thing he can't do is explain why you've been half-starved, half-frozen, and half-baked to death for all these years.
Please, all of you, listen to me. There's no reason under the sun for this cave to be open. The only thing you need to know is that the old man has kept us alive.
We're hungry. Do you understand? We're hungry. We've survived, but we haven't lived. He's never let us.
He didn't drop the bomb, Jason. He didn't kill off the world. That's what we did to ourselves. All he's done is let us survive our mistake. All he's done is give us a chance to plant a seed again and let it grow. In that cave is all the compassion that's left on Earth.
No more talk. Do it. Now.
There's a switch under this rock. Let me tell you all something. Now the damage has been done. The destruction is complete. Irrevocable. You, Mr. French. When we talked about the ways that men could die, we forgot the chief method of execution. We forgot faithlessness.
Enough! You've listened to him for years. That's all you've done. You've listened, and then, when he said jump, you jumped. When he said breathe, you breathed. And when he said starve, you starved. I'll tell you what's in this cave. Here's my prediction. It's a fanatic, a madman, who had to be kept locked up behind a steel wall, not to protect you, to protect him. Now you'll see for yourselves. What are you waiting for? Get him!
Oh, my dear God. It's a machine.
It's called a computer. This is your old man. This is your tyrant, your dictator. Kill it. You've been hungry long enough. Kill it, now! You're free now, hear me? Burn it! Burn every last trace of it! You're all free!
Mr. Goldsmith?
Evelyn? I didn't think anyone else was alive. At least not for much longer.
I took your advice. I didn't eat the food or drink anything last night.
Why?
I don't know. Faith, I guess, if that's what you call it. If it was good enough all these years, well, that must mean something.
Does it? It didn't mean anything to Major French and his men. What are all those people outside? Not to any of them.
Is there anything we can do?
No. I know there might be a treatment of some sort to prolong their lives, but I don't have that information. It died last night back in the cave, along with all the rest of our knowledge.
I know some things.
I'm sure you do, Evie.
For instance, it's going to rain today.
Why, you can't know that.
Yes, I can. I can feel it. Can't you?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's my prediction.
We'll have to move the bodies. Bury them.
Yes, there are so many. You can hardly walk. I moved one already.
You moved?
Inside. He's laying down. Over here.
Goldsmith. That you?
Jason? Jason, I'm so terribly sorry.
So am I. I'm the one who's so sorry.
You're not to blame. Maybe this has to be the destiny of man. I wonder if that's true. I wonder.
Jake, I just...
Oh. He was a good man, wasn't he?
A good man.
He was always good to me. That's why I helped him in. He said he wanted to hear something one last time, and now it's too late. Wait. I think I know what he wanted.
And what was that?
This.
Sounds familiar. Can't quite place it.
I can. A man named Glenn Miller. It's called Moonlight Serenade.
Well, I'll be. There's your rain, Evie.
Do you mind? Do you mind if we just sit here for a while longer before we move the bodies?
No, I don't mind. At all.
I like the sound.
So do I, Evie. So do I.
Mr. Goldsmith, survivor, an eyewitness to history and man's imperfection, an observer of the very human trait of greed and chronicler of the last chapter, the one reading suicide. Not a prediction of what is to be, just a projection of what could be in the Twilight Zone.
Hi, this is Carl Amari, producer of the Twilight Zone Radio Dramas. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our official website at twilightzoneradio.com, where you'll get the latest news and information on these Twilight Zone radio dramas. Plus, at twilightzoneradio.com, you can digitally download 3 free episodes or any of our episodes for only $1.95 each. In this age of ever-changing technology, we've decided to make these episodes instantly available to you by making the Twilight Zone radio dramas a digital download-only series. This means that this series will no longer be offered on CD. The CD collections at our website are now being offered while supplies last at buy one, get one free. So be sure to get your favorites before they're sold out. Be sure to visit us often, and I'll see you in the zone.
The Old Man in the Cave, starring Adam Baldwin, with Stacy Keach as your narrator, was adapted for radio by Dennis Etchison and based on a script by Rod Serling from a story by Henry Slesser. Heard in the cast were Mike Starr, Doug James, Kurt Nabig, Deb Dotzer, Jeff Lupetin, Sarah Marks, Carl Amari, Roger Wolski, and Vince Amari. To learn more about the Twilight Zone radio dramas and to obtain audio cassettes and CDs of these programs, visit our website at twilightzoneradio.com. This copyrighted radio series is produced and directed by Carl Amari and Roger Wolski for Falcon Picture Group. Doug James speaking.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Yes? Oh, hello, Bill. Not really asleep, just sort of dozing, waiting. What time is it? 4:30 already. How is he?
Mommy, who's that?
Colonel Conacher, honey. Good. Well, Bill, tell him I wish him... But that's crazy, isn't it? That's gibberish. Just tell him we'll be waiting for him. Thanks, Bill. Yes, we'll be watching. That was Colonel Conacher, honey. He said Daddy's just fine.
Is he going up soon?
Probably within an hour, honey. That's what Colonel Conacher said. Do you want to go back to bed?
No.
I don't blame you. I can't sleep either. I'll tell you what. I'll make some coffee for me and some cocoa for you, and you get dressed in the meantime, okay? Then we'll turn on the television set.
Okay, Mommy.
And in this morning's news, all is set at the Cape for a big launch. Astronaut Robert Gaines will orbit the Earth alone, gathering vital information for the President's stepped-up space program. So far,
Be safe, Bob.
are clear,
Be safe, darling.
it looks like a go.
And come back
In
to
world
us.
News, the stock exchange in London reports an opening gain, despite concern over yesterday's devaluation.
The year is 1963. In the vernacular of spaceflight, this is T-minus 1 hour. 60 minutes before a human being named Major Robert Gaines is lifted off from Mother Earth and rocketed into the sky, farther and longer than any man ahead of him. You may not have read about this one in the history books, because government security has kept the full story under wraps until now. But to set the record straight, officially or unofficially, let's call this one of the first faltering steps of man to sever the umbilical cord of gravity and stretch out a fingertip toward the unknown. In a moment, we'll join this astronaut named Gaines and embark on an unscheduled adventure, because the environs overhead, the stars, the sky, the infinity of space, are all part of a vast question mark known as the Twilight Zone.
We now continue with The Twilight Zone and our story, The Parallel, starring Lou Diamond Phillips, with Stacy Keach as your narrator.
Hello, Gaines.
Hey, Conacher.
Pulse normal?
Reasonable. Someplace between nonchalance and panic.
I know the feeling. I talked to Helen. She's fine. Says to tell you they'll be waiting.
Bless you for that. Any messages for the angels?
Well, you could give them a kiss for me. Any that you happen to meet.
Well, on my last orbit around, I'll lasso a pair of gossamer wings and I'll ship them down to you Air Express. Collect. It's kind of an odd feeling to know that I'll be off the Earth for a week.
Well, that's progress. Gus Grissom went 302 miles. John Glenn made 3 orbits. Wally Schirra handled 6. You're going to go round and round. And when you come back down, Bobby, we'll be that much closer to filing a claim on some more sky. Good luck, buddy.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks a lot.
This is Capcom. The countdown for the MX-10 launch is T-minus 19 seconds. T-minus 19 seconds and holding. T-minus 8 seconds. 7.
Is that Daddy's rocket ship?
5.
Yes, Maggie. Don't worry, honey. He's going to be all right.
2. 1. 0. Ignition. Main stage. Liftoff.
Godspeed, darling. Godspeed.
The MX-10 liftoff time is 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All systems go. Astronaut Gaines reports his fuel and oxygen quantity steady, the cabin pressure decreasing on schedule. How's he feel up there?
Go ahead, 10. We hear you loud and clear.
0G, and I feel fine. Spacecraft is turning around. The view is tremendous.
Roger. Turnaround has started.
Roger. The spacecraft is turning around, and I can see the booster just a couple of yards behind me. It's beautiful.
Roger, 10. You have a go. At least 40 orbits.
Roger, this is Phoebus 10. Understand, go for 40 orbits. Can see clear back across the Cape. Quite a sight.
Roger. Still reading you loud and clear. Next transmission, Bermuda.
Roger. Understand. Next transmission, Bermuda. Spacecraft did damp okay and turned around. Scoping is extended okay.
Phoebus 10, Bermuda. Capcom Tech on HF.
Phoebus 10. Phoebus 10. This is Canary, Capcom. Read you loud and clear. Over.
Phoebus 10, this is Zanzibar Captech. We have solid telemetry contact. Report your status. Over.
Phoebus 10, this is Kano, Capcom. I read you loud and clear. How do you read me? Phoebus 10, this is Capcom. We now have iOS. Over. Phoebus 10, your voice transmissions are starting to fade very badly.
I've lost radar here.
What?
Let me see.
I've lost radar.
We don't have contact here either. No contact at all.
Capcom Tech calling Phoebus 10. This is Capcom Tech. Capcom Tech calling Phoebus 10. Come in.
General Eaton, is there anything new to report?
Gentlemen, you know it is not our policy to conceal information. But the situation as it stands now is that we have suddenly lost radar, and radio contact. Until we discover the cause of the sudden loss, possible explanations are not available at this time.
General, you've lost complete touch with Gaines. There's no contact whatsoever.
Unfortunately, that's true. We hope that something had just gone wrong with his tracking signal transmitter. But the optical trackers tell us that they haven't locked on since the 15th pass.
The 15th pass?
I mean, they haven't been able to pick it up with their optical equipment. In the hour before the signal went dead, we established it. Then it just disappeared. There's been nothing on radar. And even the solar cells, which should supply power for tracking for years, if necessary, have failed somehow. The batteries are obviously gone. But even assuming that the solar cells could have failed somehow, the optical sighting should have continued. But they haven't.
Any other hypothesis? How about a meteor?
The statistical possibility of a meteor hitting a satellite is fairly low. Very improbable.
What about the capsule leaving its orbit and coming back down to Earth?
That's hardly possible. There'd be no foolproof means of making it spiral in. The trick, once it reaches denser layers of atmosphere, is to slow it up enough so that it wouldn't burn like a meteor, and then have some means of depositing it on the ground. I don't think I'm violating any security by saying that Major Gaines's craft had no such equipment. You'll have to excuse me.
Capcom? Capcom, this is Phoebus 10. I've lost contact with you. Capcom, this is Phoebus 10.
I'm blacking out!
How about it, Gaines? Can you talk?
Sure, General. Yeah, sure, I can talk. Oh. Hey, Billy, what happened?
We were waiting for you to wake up, Bob, and tell us.
I don't know what to tell you. I blacked out.
We lost you on radar and radio. We had no contact at all. It boils down to this, Gaines. You're the only one who can explain it.
I can't explain anything. I had an odd, sensation. The last thing I remember is a 15th orbit, then I don't remember anything except this bed. I couldn't reach the Cape at all. I kept trying.
Why don't you let him sleep? I think he'll be a little clearer later on.
I won't be any clearer than I am right now. Bill, how could you lose me on radar? You mean to say that every single tracking station blacked out?
Really, gentlemen, I think he ought
Just
to...
one last question, Bob. There was only one way you could head back toward Earth. That was simply to spiral in and head for water. Your spacecraft was found intact 46 miles from where you were launched. Intact, Bob. On the ground. No evidence of any damage, not even a dent. Somehow, some way, you brought that spacecraft in and you landed her. How about? Explain to me how you did an absolutely impossible act.
I didn't. I had nothing to do with it. I blacked out, General. I simply blacked out. There was some factor up there, something that I had no control over, something that must have taken over for me.
We'll talk about it later on. This entire thing is temporarily classified, gentlemen. I mean everything about it. Simply say that he regained entry and landed. That he's shaken up, but not seriously hurt. That's the feed. No enlargements, no extensions beyond that simple statement. After we probe this thing a little while, we may come up with some answers that we can let out. But for the time being, it's a one-sentence release. Quote, he came back down. Unquote.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now get some rest, Gaines.
Sleep it off, buddy. There's an explanation for everything. Oh, I've called Helen. Told her you were all right, so there's no worry there.
Yeah, well, you've talked to her more than I have in the past week.
Hmm?
Yeah, 2 phone calls. That's 2 more than I've made.
What do you mean, 2?
Well, you talked to her once before the blast, and then now. You know, I feel like you're my proxy.
I didn't call her before, Bob. I didn't have a chance. But I'm sure that she knows that you're all right. What's the matter?
Just before I went up, we were talking in the locker room. You said you phoned her.
I didn't phone her, Bob. I never told you I did. I guess you dreamed it.
No, I didn't dream it. I remember you telling me that, okay?
That's just part of a delusion. Maybe it's part of the whole pattern here. But why worry about it now? You're all doped up and you're also dead tired. Sleep it off, and I'll see what I can do about getting you a leave to go home. Rest easy, pal. Need a hand with your bag?
Nope, I got it.
Now give Helen my love. And do me a favor. All your concerns, all your question marks, keep them in abeyance for a while. Stick them in a drawer someplace and bring them out one by one. But do it gradually. Give yourself time.
And that's supposed to mean what?
That's supposed to mean that all the mysteries of the universe don't have to get settled by one man in one morning. Those stars have been up there for a long time.
I'll keep it in mind. Thanks for the services rendered. I'll talk to you later.
No question about it.
Daddy!
Hi, sweetie. Guess who?
Welcome home. What's the matter, Bob?
Oh, is that what you did for therapy while I was gone? You put up that fence?
What do you mean?
That fence. It wasn't there when I left last week.
Are you kidding me? That fence was there when we bought the house. I guess outer space does things to memories, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
America's latest manned orbital flight into space ends on a note of mystery today, with a cloak of secrecy placed over the entire process.
Got any more coffee out there?
I'm making some. Be done in a minute.
The Space Administration announced late this afternoon that the flight was a success, but admitted contact was lost at one point. Gaines landed safely, but as to where and how, that is what the Space Administration censored, and no further information has been forthcoming.
I'm going to go up and put on a bathrobe, okay? I'll be right down.
Do you want Maggie to get it?
Both of you have been treating me like a cross between a millionaire eccentric and a piece of Dresden china, okay? I'll be right back.
Millions of Americans watched the orbital flight when suddenly the pictures were interrupted and all major networks went back to their regular broadcasting schedules with an announcement that there would be no further coverage of the historic flight. General Stanley Eaton announced late this afternoon that for the moment all aspects of astronaut Gaines's flight would continue to be.
Bob, your coffee's ready. Want us to bring you a cup?
I'll be right down. Look at that.
What? Here's your coffee.
Thanks.
What are you laughing about?
Oh, there's going to be a chicken colonel back at the base running around in his undershirt.
What do you mean?
Look at this collar. The insignia. I walked off with somebody's shirt. A full colonel's, no less.
But, Bob, you are a full colonel.
Helen?
What, darling? What's the matter?
All right, honey, tell me the truth. The absolute truth. No games. When I left, when I walked out of here, what was my rank?
Your rank?
Wasn't I a major? Haven't I been a major for 13 months?
Bob, don't. You're scaring me.
Well, without trying to scare you, honey, and without trying to make you wonder whether I still have all my marbles, I'd like you to answer my question.
Are you serious?
I'm not playing games, Helen, please.
You've been a full colonel since last March.
Last March?
March. I want to say something to you now. I don't know what happened up there. I know you don't want to talk about it yet, and that's why we haven't said anything. But something must have happened, Bob.
That's just it. I don't know what happened. Believe me, Helen, I have no idea at all.
Listen, darling. You told me once that there were whole areas of space medicine that had only been touched upon, phenomena and reaction patterns that could only be guessed at. I'm sure this is one of them. I'm sure that there isn't anything wrong with you except a couple of odd fixations that will go away with time.
I don't know what happened, but I do know that I'm rational, Helen. I do know that I haven't changed at all, but in some crazy, unexplainable way, the things around me have.
Nothing's changed. You've gone through some kind of trauma, and somewhere along the line, Bob, you've gotten a hold of some
delusions? Huh? Some distortions? Like the fence outside of the house. I don't remember it, Helen. You told me it had been here when we bought the house. And then there was this business with Bill Conacher. He told me he'd phoned you before the blast-off. He made it a point to tell me. But afterwards, he said there was no such phone conversation. It's not important, really. I mean, it's insignificant, and yet it's part of a crazy pattern here. Something is very wrong. Because he did tell me he called you earlier, and that fence wasn't there, and those eagles were never on my collar before, because when I left, I was a major.
Come on downstairs. We'll have dessert. And don't let a white fence and a promotion end the world for you.
Helen, I think it would be a whole lot better if we just dropped all the pretenses. If you think there's something wrong with me, just say so. But honey, I'd consider it a real favor if you didn't tiptoe around me, all right?
All right. I was going to ask Bill Conacher if he'd like to come over for dinner. How about a piece of pie with your coffee?
I helped Mommy make it.
Oh, did you?
I'll get it for you, Daddy.
Thanks, sweetie.
Careful, Mags. Don't break any more plates.
I won't.
So, why did you want to call Bill?
I remember he said once that there were some aspects of prolonged weightlessness that can't be explained.
Here you are, Daddy.
You know, little girl. One day, I'm gonna lose you to some Navy ensign who'll marry you for your father's fortune and your cooking. Come here, baby. Give me a hug.
Don't!
Maggie, honey, what's the matter?
Nothing.
Maggie, tell me, what's wrong?
He's different.
How, honey? How? Tell me, how am I different?
I don't know. But you are. You are different. You're very different.
What does she mean?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. What does she mean I'm different? Am I? Am I, Helen? Have I changed that much?
I can't explain it, Bob. I don't know how.
But I have changed, haven't I? There's something different about me. The child sensed it, and you sensed it too, Helen.
Yes, I have.
How?
I don't know. It's just that you're not the same somehow.
You didn't have to call Bill Conacher. That wasn't necessary. Tomorrow I'll report in, for psychiatric help. I don't know what it is that's happened. But something did. Something that's tearing us all apart. And until we find out what it is, it's going to keep on doing that.
Helen, how is he?
How do you do, Mrs. Gaines?
Bob's still in with the doctor. They should be about finished.
Well, Doctor?
If you're looking for a very specific label, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you, sir.
We're looking, Doctor, for some memory that might explain a re-entry and landing of a spacecraft that absolutely defies physical laws.
I can't help you there, sir. That's physics. This is psychiatry. Mrs. Gaines.
Yes?
Your husband is suffering from a collection of very odd fixations. I say odd because there seems to be no pattern. The conversations he recollects that never occurred. The idea that he's a major and not a colonel. The fence around the house that he claims was never built. You put all these things together and they don't add up. They're totally unrelated, at least after a fairly perfunctory examination. I'll need more time with the patient, General.
There was nothing he could tell you about what happened up there?
Nothing that he could relate to me.
Then we're back to where we started. I don't mean to sound callous, Mrs. Gaines. He's an exceptional officer, that husband of yours. I think he'll be out of the woods in no time. My concern happens to be the space program.
I understand, sir.
Come on, Helen. I'll walk you out.
Mrs. Gaines, what about that fence?
It was there when we bought the house.
And when did he seem surprised that it was there?
The moment he came back. Yesterday morning.
Really? A very strange collection of delusions. A white picket fence, his rank, and the last thing he said was he doubted very much if President Kennedy would pin any medals on him.
President who?
Someone named John Kennedy.
Who's John Kennedy?
Someone who Colonel Gaines has decided is the President of the United States. And I share your bewilderment. I never heard of him either.
Come in, Bill.
How is he?
He's fine. He's perfect. A picture of health except for a couple of almost invisible flaws. In fact, he's upstairs right now, studying a set of encyclopedias and taking notes as if he were cramming for an exam. He says they've got some of the facts wrong. Names and dates and world events. Either they do or he does.
Still the fixations.
More of them now. This afternoon, he got into an argument with Lieutenant Hempstead's wife.
About what?
Not an argument, really. Just a mild exchange. He claimed that Joe was Air Force. Said he'd flown with him at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Joe Hempstead has always been armored infantry. Bob met him at Fort Riley at command school. But he gets this fixation, and after a while, he makes you think that maybe you're all mixed up. And there's another thing.
Go on, Helen.
It isn't easy to say. Maggie noticed it, too. There's something different about him. Something we can't put our fingers on, but... Bill, reassure me, will you? Tell me that this ice-cold feeling I have is way off. Tell me that the man upstairs is really Bob Gaines.
I'm sorry, General, but that's what we came up with.
And you expect me to believe it? What you've told me is fantastic, incredible. How in the name of...
I can't answer you how, General. This hypothesis will have to come from someone else. I'm only the project manager. But I can tell you what we've just seen. And it's not the same capsule that we sent off. It's almost a twin to it, down to the very last nut and bolt. But it's simply not the same spacecraft. It's a different vehicle. It's made as if it came out of the same mold. But every now and then in the wiring, in the control panel, in the structure, you come up with one very irrevocable fact. Colonel Gaines went up in one spacecraft, but he came back in another.
Which leaves us with two alternatives. One, Colonel Gaines actually blacked out and has no knowledge of what occurred. Or two, that Colonel Gaines is not who we think he is.
Then, General, who is he?
Now, Colonel, I want you to examine the vehicle carefully. I want you to be able to say to me without one single shred of doubt that this is the same Astro 7 spacecraft you were sent up in and came down in. This is extremely important.
I'll try, General.
Phoebus 10. Phoebus 10.
Good.
Phoebus 10.
I trust I've made my point. Well, have I?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the matter?
Bob, what the General is getting at...
Phoebus 10. Phoebus 10. We're not sure whether or not your landing bag is deployed. We feel it is possible to re-enter with the retro package on. We see no...
I can't.
Bob, what's the matter with you?
I said I'll try, okay? Just a minute.
This is California CapTech. The weather in the recovery area is excellent. 3-foot waves, 10 miles visibility.
Don't you hear that voice?
Gaines, what's going on? What voice?
Phoebus 10. Phoebus 10. This is California CapTech. Do you read? Over.
Phoebus 10, we're recommending that you leave the retro package on during re-entry. Override the 0.05G switch, expected at 044353. Retract the scope manually. Do you read?
Phoebus 10, recommend you go to re-entry attitude and retract your scope manually at this time.
We have you on that. We'll give you the countdown for retro sequence time, Bob. You're looking good. We have only 50 seconds to retrograde.
I'll give you a mark. 45. Mark. I'm on ASCS and backing it up manual.
Good, Bob. Leave your retro pack on through your pass over Texas. Do you read?
Roger. 15 seconds to sequence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Roger, retros are firing. I am starting my re-entry now. I'm going to fly by wire, down to about 50% on manual. There's a real fireball outside.
How are you doing? What's your condition?
I'm feeling fine. Condition is good. But listen, there's a lot of fire out there, an awful lot. Capcom, just one question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Who is the President of the United States?
Say again, Bob. We don't think we got that.
Who is the President of the United States?
Sounds like you're asking who the President is.
Roger, that's the question.
Bob, the President of the United States is...
I sure hope you said Kennedy.
Our wandering boy is awake.
Bill?
I'm right here, buddy.
How do you feel, Major?
Well, that depends. Did you hear the question I asked up there, just before re-entry?
You wanted to know who the president was. What was that, a gag?
No gag. I didn't hear the answer.
President Kennedy. You were gone 2 days, Major, not 2 years. What happened the second morning, Gaines? It was your 15th orbit. We lost you for a period of almost 6 hours.
Lost?
No radar, no contact. We couldn't find any reason for it. We threw the question at you several times later on after we picked you up again, but you ignored it.
6 hours?
That's about how long it took. Then you came back in loud and clear.
Gentlemen, please. Right now I think he'd better rest.
Oh, all right, Doctor.
Bill. Something happened. You're not gonna believe this. I'm not absolutely certain I believe it myself. There is, another dimension. I don't know where it exists or how, but it's a world that's a twin to ours. Same places, most of the same people, most of the same chronology of events, except every now and then there's something a little bit different.
How do you know this?
Because I was there, sir. For almost a week.
That's impossible. We only lost you for 6 hours.
I can't help that, sir. During those 6 hours, I lived out a week.
Doing what?
Looking at our counterparts, at us.
Us?
As we exist in a parallel world, General. A world that exists alongside us, but one that we can't see. And one that I stumbled into. I don't know how. Some kind of space-time warp or something, but there's a doorway up there. It exists, and every now and then, it's possible to fall through it, like I did.
How did you get back?
I don't even know that. All I remember is standing by the spacecraft in the hangar, and then I was up there again, and now I'm back here.
Bob, sleep on this for a little while, will you?
Why?
Because this whole thing may be a delusion.
A delusion? Bill, I don't have any proof. But I can recount to you, minute by minute, everything that happened, every word that was said, every person I met. I could describe the streets, everything. This was no dream.
We'll talk about it after a while, Major. Get some rest.
Has anybody phoned Helen?
She asked what you wanted for supper.
Will I be able to leave?
At least for an overnight. But we want you back here first thing in the morning.
What for?
I want to look at the psychiatrist's face when you start talking about parallel dimensions. We'll see you later, Major.
One last question.
Be my guest.
If we each have a counterpart, and you saw them, where was yours, Bob?
I don't know. But he's a colonel, a full colonel. And I hope he got back. He's got a very beautiful wife and a very lovely little daughter.
What do you think?
I don't think. Not on this one, sir.
Some kind of trauma. What else? Another dimension? Another world that's parallel to ours? Does that sound rational to you?
Up there, who knows what's rational and what isn't? We don't even know the rules, sir, let alone the facts. We're little ants that have just made it to the desert, and now we say we've conquered the Sahara. But we haven't conquered anything. We're only starting to find the mysteries, General. We haven't even begun to solve them. We're going to do a lot of groping through a lot of dark nights, through a lot of space, before we find the answers. We've got a long way to go, sir.
Sir.
Yes?
There's a message from Capcom, sir. It doesn't make much sense.
I'll judge that.
Capcom reports telemetry with an unidentified space vehicle.
What?
They had voice communication for about a minute and a half. The spacecraft identified itself as the Astro 7, and the person in it said...
Said what?
He identified himself as a Colonel Robert Gaines. He asked for re-entry data.
Colonel Robert Gaines?
Yes, sir. Then we got some garbled stuff, and then nothing.
Then what?
Well, then nothing, sir. We lost the visual sighting, and we lost all voice. The thing just disappeared.
Get a transcript of everything that was said. Have it brought over to my office. Keep trying to raise... whoever it was.
Yes, sir. We're still trying, sir.
All right. Keep me in touch.
Yes, sir.
You're so right, Colonel Conacher, when you say that we've got a long way to go. A lot of questions to answer. And you are so right when you say that we haven't even begun. Anything on your mind?
One thing. I'd like to tell Astronaut Gaines that his proof just showed up on a radar screen, however briefly.
Be my guest.
Yes, sir.
You forget your hat?
I just wanted to give you some information. You expressed some interest before in a Colonel Gaines. You said something to the effect that you prayed to God he'd get back all right.
And?
Well, I thought I ought to tell you he's on his way.
Thank God. Thank God for that. Hey, thanks for the ride.
My pleasure, Bobby. I really mean that, you know.
I do. I do know it, Bill.
Daddy!
Hey, sweetie. Do me a favor.
What?
Who am I?
Why, you're my daddy, silly.
Thank you, honey. That's all I wanted to know. Hey, where's...
Mommy, come here.
Bob?
Yes.
Oh, Bob, darling, welcome back.
You don't know how glad I am to be back.
Major Robert Gaines, a latter-day Voyager just returned from an adventure. Submitted to you without any recommendations as to belief or disbelief. You can accept or reject. He pays your money and takes your choice. But credulous or incredulous, Don't bother to ask anyone for proof that it happened. The obligation is a reverse challenge, because NASA, try as they might, has never been able to prove that it didn't. At least, not in the Twilight Zone.
Hi, this is Carl Amari, producer of the Twilight Zone Radio Dramas. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our official website at twilightzoneradio.com, where you'll get the latest news and information on these Twilight Zone radio dramas. Plus, at twilightzoneradio.com, you can digitally download 3 free episodes or any of our episodes for only $1.95 each. In this age of ever-changing technology, we've decided to make these episodes instantly available to you by making the Twilight Zone radio dramas a digital download-only series. This means that this series will no longer be offered on CD. The CD collections at our website are now being offered while supplies last at buy one, get one free. So be sure to get your favorites before they're sold out. Be sure to visit us often, and I'll see you in the zone.
The Parallel, starring Lou Diamond Phillips with Stacy Keach as your narrator, was adapted for radio by Dennis Etchison and based on a script by Rod Serling. Heard in the cast were Maggie Carney, Lauren Patton, Roderick Peoples, Rich Kominick, Doug James, Guy Burrill, Meg Thalken, Carl Amari, Roger Wolski, and Mike Baccarella. To learn more about the Twilight Zone radio dramas and to obtain audio cassettes and CDs of these programs, visit our website at twilightzoneradio.com. This copyrighted radio series is produced and directed by Carl Amari and Roger Wolski for Falcon Picture Group. Doug James speaking.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are those of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Sergeant?
Yes, soldier?
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead, son. If it's whiskey you want, well, I don't have none. Not for days now. It's long gone.
No, that's not it, sir.
Oh, I thought maybe you wanted something for the pain. Your arm. You'd best change that bandage.
I don't have anything, Sergeant, except my uniform, and there ain't much of that left.
Here, take my kerchief.
Oh, no, I can't.
Sure you can. Come on now. Get that sling off. Make yourself a new dressing. You need it in the heat.
Thank you kindly, sir.
Go ahead and sit, if you like.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I gotta keep moving.
Why? There's no hurry. Not anymore.
Well, if you can walk on that crutch, I figure I can as much on these 2 feet. Besides, I got a long way to go.
How far, soldier?
Alabama. I made it to be 600 miles. My folks will be waiting. Stop now, I might not get there at all.
Now, you'll get there all right. We all will, one way or the other. Because we have to. No place else to go.
Yes, sir. Going home. That's what I wanted to ask. You know the date today?
I'm sorry, son. I lost track. I don't know, still April or thereabouts.
Hey, Willie. That you?
You know that boy?
Sure I do. Sounds like Willie from Birmingham. We was together at Appomattox.
You go on ahead. I gotta take it slow for a while.
Much obliged. See, it's night, sir, when we make camp.
Luck to you, son. God be with you.
This is the year of our Lord, 1865, and these are Confederate soldiers not long after General Robert E. Lee handed over his sword to General Grant.
Lee's troops have been released from duty, and for most that means traveling on foot, carrying with them the last vestiges of dignity in defeat. They walk these roads by the thousands, by the tens of thousands, with one goal in mind: to get home. They survived a war that cost more than 1 million lives, and those left are the walking wounded, bandaged, dirty, bearded, and exhausted, moving past burned-out homes in a burned-out land that now relinquishes a burned-out cause. But in a moment, the dusty road that began at Fort Sumter, South Carolina, and ended at Appomattox, littered with the residue of broken battles and shattered dreams, will terminate in a strange province that knows neither north nor south, a place we call the Twilight Zone.
And now, back to the Twilight Zone with The Passers-By, starring Morgan Brittany, with Stacy Keach as your narrator.
Miss?
Yes?
I was wondering,
Come closer to the porch so I can see you.
mind if I take some of your water, miss? The canteen's run dry.
Please. The well's just there. Have all you like.
Thank you kindly. Oh, you don't know how good that tastes.
I see by your uniform. Sergeant, isn't it?
Well, I was. Don't know that it matters much now. Beautiful house you have here.
It was. We used to call it our mansion.
Beautiful tree, too. The oak here, strong. The kind that lasts.
Yes, it survived. It was here before the house was built, and now it's the only one left.
War claims a lot of victims. Different kinds. Men, animals, God's own beauty. You mind if I sit here a spell?
Not at all. It's nice to talk to someone. I feel as if I haven't had a conversation in years.
What if I strum my guitar a bit?
You have a guitar?
Carried it all through the war. Would it bother you?
Oh, it would be lovely. My husband used to play a guitar.
Did he?
Oh, he played so well.
He's where, ma'am?
He was killed at Yellow Tavern with General Stewart.
I'm sorry.
You have a wife back home?
No kin at all. It was just my father, but he died the first year of the war.
I'm sorry.
Ah, it's all right. It's been a while now.
I mean the crutch. I didn't see it. You've lost your leg.
No matter, ma'am. Didn't exactly lose it anyway. I know just where they buried it. Outside of Chickamauga.
It must be hard walking for you. Do you have a long way to go?
Why, I guess I do. Kinda lost track.
Have you been on the road long?
Reckon I have. Since the beginning of time. Leastways, that's the way it seems. I don't quite remember when I wasn't moving down a road someplace.
Like all those men passing by day and night.
Oh, I got plenty of company. But it's different now. There isn't anything in the world sadder than a defeated army crawling home.
And how different it was when they marched off. Brand new gray and gold braid and 1,000 flags. With trumpets and drums. Nothing but trumpets and drums. I thought it sounded so wonderful.
I remember.
Gonna lick the Yanks in a month. That's what they said. In a month. How wrong they were. And we stood by in our summer dresses and cheered them on and threw flowers and felt so grand. Just a few tears. Not many. Because we were so sure they'd all be coming back just as they left. And how wrong we were. Oh my.
Anything wrong?
I'm feeling a little dizzy.
Ma'am, please sit down. I don't think you're well.
It's the fever. But I'm on the mend now. It just left me weak, that's all.
just a little weak. And still they come, morning and night, night and morning. The young ones and the old ones. And oh, how tired they look. How worn. Are there hundreds of them or thousands of them?
More than that.
And wouldn't you think there were so many, my Judd?
Ma'am?
Sergeant, do me a favor. Play your guitar real loud. I mean real loud. Drown me out. I'm so sick to death of hearing my own crying and the sound of footsteps on the road. Please play it loud so I can hear music. Please, Sergeant.
My pleasure.
Charlie? Charlie Constable, is that you? Charlie, it's Lavinia. Charlie, we thought you'd been killed. That's what everyone said. They said you'd been shot in the head at Gettysburg.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Sorry to disturb you, ma'am.
Good day to you.
It's Charlie I want to talk to. Can't you hear me? Couldn't you stop a minute, Charlie? Couldn't you stop a minute and talk? I'm so glad you're all right. I'm so glad you got back.
I'm almost there, Lavinia. Almost there. I don't think I'll need all this weight. You can store my blanket roll for me, but I gotta keep moving. I'm almost there now, you see. I'll be there by nightfall.
Oh, Charlie. Your wife will be so glad to see you. So very, very glad.
Goodbye, Lavinia.
Will you give Susan my best, Charlie? Tell her when you get settled to please come over. Would you do that for me? No, I'll expect she'll want to keep you to herself for some time. I know if it were Judd come home to me, I'd hold him close. So close, Charlie. And I'd not let him leave again.
I'm sure, Lavinia.
Charlie, wait. You might need some of your bedroll. The Yanks took most of the blankets. Susan might have use for yours. Well, I'll keep it for you then. Do you hear me? I'll keep it here for you. That was Charlie Constable.
Was it?
They said he'd been killed at Gettysburg, shot through the head, that's what they said. Oh, but thank God they made a mistake. Thank God he's all right and come home again.
What's the matter, ma'am? Why are you looking at your hands like that?
There's blood.
Where?
Why, Charlie's cap. It's tied to its bedroll and there's blood on it. There's blood on Charlie's cap.
Ma'am?
Yes?
It's Sergeant Baxter, ma'am.
Well, I know that. Who else would it be? You finished so soon?
I got a feeling for wood, carving it or chopping it. I got enough cut there so you can at least start the winter.
Well, I thank you sincerely. You don't know how much that helps me.
No, I thank you. I'm obliged for the dinner.
Such as it was.
It beats salt pork and hardtack, which is what I've been used to for as long as I can remember.
I was hoping you'd play your guitar one more time. Would you?
Made this myself.
You didn't. You know how to make musical instruments.
After a fashion. Not as good as the ones I made at home. I had more time then. You had to pick the right tree. A good, solid one with character. You cut a branch and strip off the bark and take the wood in layers, but carefully, just right. Then you soak it and bend it into the shape you want. And well, there's plenty to it, believe me. And then after it's dry, it has to be planed and glued and whittled till it's perfect. And then comes the tuning. You know, they say a good guitar takes on the voice of the man who made it. If he has a voice to start with. Seems some men don't. No matter what they play, it just comes out flat and dead.
I'll bet all your guitars sound beautiful. just like this one.
My old man used to say that I'd wind up nothing but a bum troubadour.
Did he?
My old man. But he was a proud one when I marched off. Proud as an old rooster, because his son was going off to war to become a man. And I come back, half a man.
That song of yours.
Black is the color?
Judd, my husband, he used to sing that. Oh, I wish you could have met him.
I wish so too.
A very gentle man. A very nice and decent man. And I can remember nights he'd sit out on this porch and play and sing. Even the crickets would keep quiet. And the bullfrogs down at the pond. It was just as if they'd stopped their noise so they could hear the music. And then the Yankees came. Like blue locusts who had to eat away the trees and the land and everything on it. I owe them for much. For our house, our lawn, our trees, for everything that was. Including my husband's life. I owe them for very much.
Ma'am? Why don't you leave here? This place is no good for you.
This place is all I have. Just an empty shell of an old house and a burned-out field. But it belongs to me, and it's all I've got.
You need something else, something different. Being here alone and sick and staring out toward that road, that ain't gonna cure anything. Fever, sadness, heartache. It won't cure nothing at all.
What do you suppose happened to him?
Your husband?
The Yankee who killed my husband. Do you suppose he's marching home now? Back to his own kin? Do you suppose he's laughing and singing and telling all his neighborhood about the rebels he killed? All the bullets and the heads he shot them through?
I don't reckon that at all. You shouldn't either, ma'am. There's been a lifetime of suffering on both sides.
I got a gun inside the house. An old shotgun. And I keep thinking about how someday, some moment, a Yankee will ride by, and I'll take out that gun, and I'll aim it at him. I'll aim it steady. But first, I'll tell him. I'll tell him that he can consider this the last shot of the Civil War. A bullet in exchange for the one my husband took.
You let that kind of poison sit on your mind, you'll die from it, I swear.
Who's coming?
Can't see yet.
It's him.
What do you mean?
The Yankee.
Well, hold on now.
It's a hot night.
Hot indeed, Lieutenant.
Couldn't see if anyone still lives here.
They do. You traveling a long way?
Oh, just up the road. But I've been on it a long time. You too, Sergeant?
Long time.
I've got a half-full canteen, but my horse is running dry.
Well, there's water in the well. I don't think they'd mind.
Much appreciated.
I know you, don't I?
That's possible.
I mean, I've seen you before. I seem to remember.
Go on. What is it you remember?
You'd best heed the sergeant's answer, because it's the last thing you'll ever hear.
No, ma'am. Put the gun down. You don't understand.
The last thing you'll hear on this earth. This I promise you.
Ma'am, don't shoot him. The lieutenant here tried to save my life.
Stand aside.
Hear me out first. I was lying on the side of a road. A mini ball had landed amongst us and took off my leg, and I laid there bleeding. And then he come by, a patrol of Yanks, and he propped me up, and he tried to stop the bleeding. I remember looking straight at him and saying, I said to him, danged if you ain't the most changeable breed in the world. First you do your best to kill me, then you call off the war long enough to try and save me. You remember that, Lieutenant?
I thought to myself then that if General Lee had many more of your kind, we'd take a lot of lumps before we could lick you.
Well, we sure give you some.
That you did.
Lieutenant, this is Lavinia Godwin.
You've thanked him, Sergeant. Now be so good as to step out of the way so I can thank him for a few other services.
Ma'am, the lieutenant here, he stood out on the open road and tended to me while both sides were shooting up a storm over his head. And yet he stayed there, and he tried to save my life.
I've got this shotgun leveled straight at his head, and my hand is steady. I've waited a long time. I aim to blow his head right off his shoulders.
This your pleasure, ma'am?
And duty. A little bit of both, perhaps.
Well, then you'd best get on with it.
Ma'am, I can't let you do that. I just can't.
You can't stop me with that guitar. I've got the gun.
Then I'll stop you with my hands.
You'd better stand down, Sergeant. I've got my finger on the trigger. And this is for you, Yankee.
You could thank God for the darkness. That kept you from committing murder. Hasn't there been enough of that already?
I didn't miss him. I couldn't have missed him!
No, ma'am. You couldn't have. But it doesn't make any difference. Not anymore.
I remember now. I do remember. They got you that day. They got you in the back while you were kneeling over me. You took a bullet in the back and you fell right over.
Yes, I think that's how it happened.
I thought you were dead. I remember thinking you were dead. What's going on here? What's going on here?
You'll understand. It'll come to you sooner or later.
What will?
I've got to be moving up the road again. Don't want to ride, do you, Sergeant? She's not the staunchest steed on earth, but she'll carry two.
Thank you, but one's enough.
As you like.
Safe journey, Lieutenant.
And to you. I wish you the best, ma'am. I do wish you the best. And this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Wait and see.
I'm sorry I hit you, Sergeant. And your guitar, your beautiful guitar, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have done that.
Please, forget it. It's over.
Those things he said. What do you suppose he meant?
I have an idea, but I think we'll know for sure soon enough.
Look. On the ground.
What?
It's wet. When he climbed on his horse, he was dripping blood. Sergeant! Sergeant Baxter!
Ma'am?
Would you come in the house, please?
Can I help you?
Do you hear that, Sergeant?
Hear what, ma'am?
That's just it. There's